Chosen one, you can't imagine what God's about to do, and it's all on you now. Chosen one, you can't imagine what God's about to do, and it's all on you now. The blessing already exists. You must call it forth. There is a truth hidden in plain sight, so profound yet so simple, that only the awakened dare to accept it. Nothing you seek is truly in the future. What you are praying for, hoping for, fasting for, it already exists, but not out there in the world of time and form. It exists now in the unseen realm of consciousness, waiting for your recognition, waiting for your alignment. The blessing is not delayed by God's hand, but by your inner resistance to believe it is already yours. This world you see with your physical eyes is not the source. It's the echo. It's the reflection of what you believe to be true about yourself and your God. And until you understand that, you'll continue to chase shadows instead of commanding light. Chosen one, the question is no longer whether God will do it. He already has. The next level of your life, the breakthrough, the relationship, the calling, the open door, it is already complete in the Spirit. The script has already been written, but God gave you the pen to sign it into manifestation. You are not waiting for it to happen. You are being invited to accept it as done, to feel the reality of it now, and to walk in the knowing that your assumption carries more power than the facts in front of you. You must understand this. Your imagination is not a daydreaming device. It is the spiritual womb where divine things take shape. The blessing is conceived not through struggle, but through belief. When you feel it as done, when you move, think, speak, and breathe from the conviction that it's already yours, the world has no choice but to mirror back the inner truth you've dared to embody. Your assumption becomes the law that governs your experience. This is why so many stay stuck, not because the blessing is far from them, but because they keep waiting for evidence before they believe. But chosen one, in this realm, belief must precede sight. You have to feel rich before the wealth arrives. You must feel loved before the partner appears. You must feel healed before the symptoms vanish, because your outer world bows to the power of your inner conviction. The truth is, God has done his part. The kingdom is within you. Every possibility, every miracle, every answered prayer is within reach, but not through effort, through awareness. God placed the seed inside your spirit, and now he waits for you to water it with faith, nurture it with imagination, and protect it with persistence. This is not about begging God to do more. It's about realizing you are the one who must awaken to what has already been finished. The cross was not only about forgiveness, it was about completion. It is finished. Wasn't a religious phrase, it was a spiritual announcement that everything pertaining to life, purpose, and blessing has already been secured. You must now claim it, speak it, embody it, and call it forth with boldness. And yes, the world around you may try to argue with your spirit, the bills might scream lack, the mirror might reflect weariness, the relationships might reflect rejection, but you are not here to live from reaction. You are here to live from revelation. You don't live by what the world shows you. You live by what you know in the unseen. This is the walk of the chosen, those who create reality from within. Those who understand that the most powerful force in the universe is not the wind or the earthquake, but the quiet, focused conviction of a soul who dares to believe what God has whispered in the night. It's not about effort, it's about inner agreement. And when you say yes in your heart, when you surrender to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, all of heaven moves to match your state. You are not a victim of circumstances, you are the author of your reality. God gave you dominion for a reason, not to control others, but to align with his mind and birth the unseen into the seen. When you understand this, you stop asking when and start declaring now. Because in the realm of spirit, there is no delay, only the illusion of delay based on your perception of time, and perception can be changed. In a moment, with a shift in awareness, you can enter the frequency of your answered prayer. You can feel the peace, the joy, the security, the abundance as if it were already yours, because in truth it is. The world may not yet see it, but the unseen always precedes the seen. And once you dwell in that feeling consistently, the world will eventually catch up to what your spirit has already known. So now, chosen one, the responsibility is no longer on God. It's on you, to believe beyond your senses, to trust the divine blueprint planted in your soul, to stop rehearsing what went wrong and start embodying what is already right. This moment is holy because it contains the seed of everything you've been praying for. But you must look within. You must stop expecting something new to happen outside of you before something shifts inside of you. The shift begins in your consciousness, and once that shift takes place, everything else rearranges itself around your new assumption. The doors open, not because they suddenly appeared, but because you finally saw them. The favor flows, not because it was withheld, but because you finally aligned with it. Don't wait to feel chosen. Choose yourself now. Don't wait to feel ready. Declare that you are. Don't wait to see it in your bank account or your timeline or your phone screen. See it in your heart and it will find you. This is the hour of revelation, not religion. God is awakening his children to the truth that it is done. The miracle is not in the distance, it's in your decision, and the moment you make that decision to feel it, to walk in it, to speak from it, the power of heaven rushes to perform it. You are not hoping for a blessing, you are the container for it, and as you believe, so it shall be. Chosen one, stop delaying what God has already delivered. Stop second, guessing what has already been decreed. The dream in your heart is not fantasy, it's prophecy, and prophecy requires agreement. So align your mind, your heart, your words, and your atmosphere with the truth that it is done. Then and only then will the blessing that already exists become visible in your life. The time is now, and it's all on you. You are the portal. God moves through your decision, chosen one. What if I told you that the miracle you've been waiting on is not coming from the sky, not falling from a cloud, and not being delivered by some distant divine courier, but it is waiting to be birthed through you? What if I told you that you are not just the recipient of the blessing, but the conduit of it? God has already created the way, already poured the oil, already lit the fire. But it won't flow unless you move, unless you speak, unless you decide. You are the portal through which heaven touches earth. Your life is not a random series of events waiting to be saved by divine intervention. No, your life is a sacred assignment, and your decisions are the levers that pull the spiritual realm into the physical. It's not enough to say you believe. Faith is not static, it is motion. Faith doesn't wait to feel ready. Faith moves while it's still uncertain, speaks while it's still trembling, acts while the outcome is still invisible. Because in the kingdom, it is your decision, not your condition, that gives God permission to manifest his glory through you. You have been trained by the world to wait. Wait for the right time. Wait for confirmation. Wait for a sign, but God is not waiting with you. He is waiting on you. The longer you delay your inner yes, the longer the manifestation remains held in the realm of potential, not because God is withholding, but because you are not permitting. Your belief is the switch. Your assumption is the doorway. Your decision is the agreement, and heaven cannot violate your freedom of will. That is how much power you hold. The entire cosmos bows to a soul that has come into full alignment with divine purpose. And when that soul makes a decision, not from fear, not from emotion, but from conviction, the universe has no choice but to obey. That's how much authority has been placed within you. Not because of who you are in the flesh, but because of who you are in spirit. An extension of divine intelligence, clothed in human form, sent here to create, not cope. Look around your life. Every cycle that has repeated, every delay that has lingered, every stuck place that seems immovable, they are all echoing a decision that you have not yet made, a decision to leave what must be left, a decision to forgive what has hurt you, a decision to fully believe what you've only partially claimed. You keep asking God to move, but God is asking you to decide, because the moment you decide from your inner being, you activate the flow. The heavens respond, doors unlock, people appear, resources gather, not because of luck, but because of law. The spiritual law that what you firmly claim as done in spirit must become visible in form. God is not bound by time, he is bound by principle, and the principle is this: nothing is made visible until it is made real within. That's why your decision is everything. You are the portal, you are the channel. You are the doorway God has chosen to move through. But if the door is shut with fear, blocked by doubt, or locked by indecision, the miracle remains standing outside, ready but unreceived. The oil is in the house, but if you don't pour, it will never multiply. The Red Sea is ready to part, but if you don't stretch out your staff, it will never open. The promised land is already yours, but if you keep wandering in mental deserts, you'll never cross over. The blessing is not waiting to be created. It's waiting to be unleashed through your willingness. And this is why many suffer, not because God is silent, but because they have forgotten their role in the miracle. You are not just hoping for breakthrough. You are the vessel of breakthrough. You are the mouthpiece through which heaven declares itself. You are the hand through which healing flows. You are the footstep that causes dry ground to open. And every time you hesitate, every time you say maybe later, every time you wait for external proof before you act, you postpone a divine reality that was meant to bless not just you, but others through you, because your obedience is never just about you. It's about those connected to your decision. The people who will be set free when you rise, the ones who are watching you, waiting for your yes, needing your light to find their own path. And every time you delay destiny on behalf of others as well. So now, chosen one, the call is loud, the urgency is holy, and the shift is not optional. What God is about to do in your life is not a casual improvement. It's a divine eruption. But it cannot happen through a passive soul. It must move through someone who says, yes, I will believe even when it looks like nothing is changing. Yes, I will act even when I feel afraid. Yes, I will trust the vision in my spirit more than the facts in my environment. You are the key. Not your education, not your background, not your network. You, your agreement, your inner conviction, your decision to see yourself the way God sees you, capable, ready, worthy, chosen. Let this truth sink in. You are not small, you are sacred. You are not ordinary, you are ordained, and because of that, you don't get to wait like others. You don't get to sleep through your calling. You don't get to hide behind excuses. You don't get to delay what heaven is trying to birth through your voice, your story, your very presence. God is not looking for perfection. He is looking for permission, and when you grant it with bold faith, when you become the portal by saying, I am ready, everything changes, not because you forced it, but because you aligned with what was already finished. This is your moment. This is your hour. This is not another season of wandering, doubting. This is the time to step into divine decision, to move as if it's already done, to declare it, embody it, protect it, and expect it. You are the threshold through which God's promise becomes reality. No one is coming to do it for you. No miracle is flying in without your involvement. The next move is yours, and once you make it, not out of desperation, but from holy confidence, you will watch the floodgates open. You will see what was blocked begin to break loose. You will witness the supernatural rearrange itself in response to your divine yes. So go ahead, decide, align, activate, because heaven is ready, and it's all on you now. The invisible shift happens first, then everything follows, chosen one, before the world sees it, before your friends notice it, before the evidence arrives in your bank account, your relationships, your body, or your timeline. It must first happen within. That is the divine order. The invisible shift always precedes the visible change. God works not from the outside in, but from the inside out. And so, while you may be longing for a sign, a miracle, a tangible breakthrough, God is longing for your inner shift, the transformation of your perception, the renewing of your mind, the quiet, courageous decision to live as if the promise is already real. This is the realm of faith, not fantasy, of power, not pretending. Because when you shift your inner state, you become a magnet for what matches that state. Nothing can come to you unless you are in alignment with it. The door you are praying to open requires the key of internal agreement. And until you agree on the inside with what you're asking for on the outside, the answer remains suspended, not because it's denied, but because you're not yet positioned to receive it. Understand this, the greatest breakthroughs do not begin with events. They begin with shifts in awareness. When your perception of yourself changes, your reality follows. As long as you see yourself as unworthy, unready, or unqualified, the world will echo that belief. But the moment you see yourself as chosen, empowered, and already walking in your inheritance, the world must reflect the new you. You are not changed by what happens to you. You are changed by what you accept as true within. Many are waiting for life to improve so they can feel different. But in the realm of divine manifestation, You must first feel different so that life improves. That is why the inner work is not optional. It is the foundation. Before the promise shows up in your hands, it must show up in your heart. Before you can walk in the new, you must release the old stories you've rehearsed in your mind. Before the shift occurs in the visible, you must fully inhabit the invisible. This is why so many feel stuck, not because nothing is moving, but because they are resisting the inner shift that makes movement possible. You cannot carry yesterday's identity into tomorrow's destiny. You cannot cling to broken narratives and expect healed results. You cannot beg for new blessings while operating from old patterns. God is not slow. He is strategic. He will not bless a version of you that is not aligned with His truth. That's why He keeps calling you deeper, asking you to let go of fear, to abandon doubt, to silence the inner critic, and to embrace the truth that the shift begins inside. Until you change your inner climate, the atmosphere around you cannot sustain the new level you are asking for. And this is not punishment, it is preparation, because God will not send what you are not ready to hold. So He waits, not in anger, but in wisdom. He waits for the moment your inner reality becomes pregnant with conviction. That is when the birth happens, not a moment sooner. You see, the spiritual world is not governed by your senses, it is governed by your state. What you feel, what you assume, what you imagine consistently, these are the seeds of your tomorrow. And so, if your outer world is chaotic, it's not just a matter of circumstances, it's a mirror, and that mirror will not change until you do. You can pray, cry, plead, fast, but if you continue to operate from the same fearful, limited, reactive state of being, you will cycle through the same frustrations, because prayer without alignment is just noise. But prayer from a heart that has already shifted, that is thunder, that is creative power, that is spiritual authority, and that is what causes heaven to move. The reason this truth is so vital is because you've been conditioned to believe that change must begin outside of you, that you need someone to choose you, validate you, open a door for you, rescue you. But that's the illusion. The kingdom is within, and until you activate it from the inside, the external circumstances cannot rearrange themselves. Every time you decide to dwell in gratitude for what you've not yet seen, every time you speak as if the promise is already fulfilled, every time you choose peace instead of panic, love instead of resentment, faith instead of fear, you are shifting. And though the world may not yet recognize it, the vibration of your being has changed, and soon everything else must respond. People will treat you differently. Opportunities will flow differently. Even resistance will appear differently. Because you are different, the invisible shift has happened, and the outer world has no choice but to adjust. But you must hold the shift. This is where most falter. They feel the change within for a moment, but then look around and see no evidence, so they retreat back to doubt. But chosen one, the evidence comes after. It is always delayed because it is always downstream from your consciousness. You cannot plant a seed and dig it up the next day to check its growth. You must trust the process. You must know that the moment you truly shifted, heaven recorded it, and life began to bend in your favor. Don't let temporary silence rob you of permanent transformation. Keep standing in your new identity, even when the old reality tries to argue with you. Speak from the vision, not the visible. Walk from the promise, not the pressure. You are being tested not to fail, but to solidify, because once the shift is complete, the world must yield. So here you are on the verge of something massive, not because something outside is changing, but because something inside already has. You are no longer the version of yourself that tolerated confusion, settled for less, or allowed fear to run the show. You are walking in a new awareness, a deeper clarity, a higher frequency, and the more you stay rooted in that inner shift, the more unstoppable you become. You don't chase anymore, you attract. You don't strive anymore, you command. You don't wait for permission. You walk in the authority that has already been given to you, because now you understand the law. The invisible shift is the real breakthrough. The rest is just confirmation. Chosen one, you don't need another sign. You are the sign. You don't need another door. You are the door. You don't need to beg for proof. You are the evidence of transformation in progress. Keep holding the shift. Keep nurturing it. Keep choosing it every day, and soon what was once only true in your spirit will become undeniable in your surroundings. The world will catch up to what your soul already knows. And in that moment you'll realize that the real miracle was never what changed around you. It was what awakened within you. The blessing didn't find you. You became the version of you that could finally hold it. And it all started the moment you said yes to the invisible shift. God chose you because you're the one who wouldn't quit chosen one. It wasn't random. It wasn't an accident. God didn't call you because you had the most resources, the cleanest background, the strongest connections, or the loudest voice. He chose you because you were the one who wouldn't give up, no matter what tried to destroy you. He saw the fire in your eyes, the fight in your soul, the resilience hidden beneath your pain, and he said, "That's the one. That's who I can trust with the weight of my glory." You didn't understand then why you had to walk through so much loss, betrayal, rejection, and silence. You couldn't see why doors kept slamming or why the ones you loved most turned away. But now you're beginning to see that it wasn't punishment, it was preparation. God allowed certain things to break, not to wound you, but to reveal you. You were refined in the fire. The pressure didn't crush you, it shaped you. The valley didn't bury you, it built you. And while others gave in, gave up, and walked away, you stayed standing. Shaken, yes, scarred, definitely, but still standing. And that alone makes you unstoppable. You see, God doesn't use the perfect. He uses the proven. He chooses those who have wrestled in the dark and still believed in the light, those who have had every reason to quit but chose to keep trusting. And that's you. Every tear you cried in silence, every moment you felt overlooked, every season you walked alone. God saw it all, and none of it was wasted. Heaven kept the receipts. Not a single night went unnoticed. Not a single prayer hit the floor, and while it seemed like nothing was changing, everything was being arranged behind the scenes. You were being strengthened where no one could see, being matured where no applause was heard, being elevated in silence because God was preparing a public glory from a private process. And the truth is, it couldn't happen any other way. If you had been celebrated too early, you would have relied on the crowd. If it had come too easy, you might have mistaken comfort for calling. But because you had to fight, because you had to believe when there was nothing to see, because you had to learn to walk by faith and not by sight, you now carry a weight of power that can't be faked or manufactured. That's why the attacks were so heavy. That's why the warfare never let up. That's why it felt like every time you got up, something else tried to pull you back down, because the enemy knew what was on your life even before you did. He saw the mantle, the assignment, the spiritual inheritance that was attached to your name, and his job was to make you quit before it arrived. But here you are, still breathing, still believing, still expecting, still reaching for what you cannot yet see. That is the mark of the chosen, not perfection, but persistence, not certainty, but courage, not comfort, but commitment. You have become dangerous to the kingdom of darkness because you know how to bleed and still bless. You know how to cry and still declare. You know how to wait and still worship. And that's why God says now, I can use this one. You didn't quit when the money dried up. You didn't quit when they lied on you. You didn't quit when nothing made sense. You didn't quit when you were overlooked, when the timeline got longer, when the prayers went unanswered. You kept showing up. You kept sowing. You kept declaring. You kept expecting even when your environment gave you no evidence. And now, because of your refusal to quit, God is about to pour out something that will make every past season make sense. The breakthrough is not just a reward. It's a revelation of who you became in the waiting. God is about to honor you, not just with things, but with clarity, peace, favor, and authority. You will walk in rooms that once rejected you, not to prove anything, but because now you carry the weight of authenticity. You've earned your voice in the Spirit. You've developed the kind of faith that cannot be shaken, and you've become the kind of vessel God can trust with influence. So don't be confused by the silence right now. Don't be discouraged by the slow pace or the quiet days. The slowness is not denial. It is divine setup. You are in the final stages of spiritual calibration, where God is ensuring that nothing in you remains attached to fear, doubt, or the old version of you. Because what's coming next cannot be navigated with a wounded identity, and that's why he took his time. That's why he didn't let it happen quickly. He was healing you in places you didn't even know were broken. He was separating you from relationships that looked good but couldn't go where you're going. He was severing the habits and patterns that would have sabotaged the blessing, and now, after everything, you're still here. And not only are you here, you're ready, ready to receive, ready to lead, ready to walk in the fullness of what was always yours, ready to speak with authority, to move with wisdom, to create with confidence. Ready to live boldly, love freely, and give generously, not from a place of lack, but from the overflow of someone who knows what it means to fight for their calling. You've been through the fire, and now you carry the fragrance of someone who cannot be stopped. That's why the enemy is nervous. That's why the distractions increased. That's why the pressure tightened, because you're on the brink of becoming everything he feared you would become, and all because you didn't quit. So walk boldly, chosen one. Don't second guess this moment. Don't look back in regret or ahead in fear. Look within and see the power that has been forged through every trial. You didn't survive all of that just to live a life of mediocrity. You didn't come this far to shrink, to settle, to play it safe. You are the one God chose because you wouldn't quit. And now the heavens are opening, the oil is flowing, the door is turning, not because you begged, but because you believed. Not because you were the best, but because you were the most willing. Not because you always got it right, but because you always got back up. The reward is not for the perfect, it's for the ones who refuse to bow to the pressure. And that's you. It's all on you now, not as a burden, but as a divine baton. You're not being crushed. You're being crowned. You're not being tested. You're being trusted. God's about to do what you couldn't even imagine, but he needed to know you wouldn't give up before it happened. And now he knows. So brace yourself, not for another trial, but for a supernatural release, because the one who refused to quit is now the one he will use to demonstrate what relentless faith looks like. You're not at the end, you're at the edge. The shift is here, the glory is near, and it's all falling into place, because you never walked away. It's already written. Now walk in the script, chosen one. The reason you've felt a divine tension in your spirit lately, the reason you've sensed that something is shifting even when nothing around you makes sense, is because your script has already been written in heaven, and now the scene is finally catching up. You are not inventing your purpose, you are rediscovering it. You are not chasing destiny, you are remembering it. Before the foundation of the world, before time had a name, before breath entered your lungs, God authored your story in perfection, detail, and divine brilliance. He wrote every chapter, every plot twist, every battle, every victory, every door, every delay, not as punishment, but as divine setup. Nothing about your life is an accident, not even the pain. It all belongs to a master storyline designed not just to shape you, but to reveal the glory of God through you. The hardship wasn't meant to end you. It was meant to qualify you. The loss wasn't a detour. It was a doorway. The waiting wasn't wasted time. It was sacred preparation. And now, as the heavens lean in, you're being reminded, your role is not to rewrite the story. Your role is to trust the script and walk in it boldly. You see, this divine script has never changed, even when you wandered, doubted, or got off course. God didn't erase it when you made mistakes. He simply rerouted the scene to bring you back to alignment. That's how sovereign he is. Even your wrong turns couldn't cancel what he authored. And now, as clarity begins to rise in your soul, you're being called to stop acting like someone who's unsure. You are not an extra in someone else's movie. You are the lead in God's divine production. And the role you carry, the anointing on your life, the assignment you've been given, it's not random, it's written. That's why you can't compare your journey to anyone else's. That's why their pace can't define your progress. That's why their applause or silence can't shake your calling, because your story was authored in a realm they cannot see. It's written in the eternal. And everything happening now, every shift, every divine encounter, every uncomfortable transition, is all part of the unfolding of what has already been decreed. So the question is not, will it happen? The question is, will you trust what's already done? The script doesn't need your approval, it needs your alignment. You don't need to create the outcome. You need to obey the next step, because when you walk in obedience to the written word over your life, Heaven confirms it with signs, wonders, and divine momentum. Provision shows up, favor follows you, clarity finds you, people begin to appear, not by accident, but because the script called for them. Suddenly, rooms open, conversations change. Old things fall away, not because you're forcing them, but because they are no longer written in the next act of your story. You don't have to beg for what's already yours. You just need to walk like someone who knows the ending is fixed. The plot may twist, but the outcome is glory. But here's the sacred truth. The script can't fully manifest in your life until you stop living as the character the world tried to cast you as. You must step into the version of yourself God wrote, the bold one, the anointed one, the visionary, the lion-hearted warrior, the deeply loved vessel who has access to divine wisdom. You cannot hold on to the role of the rejected, the forgotten, the limited, the insecure, and expect to walk in the storyline of dominion. That version of you was written by trauma and fear, not by God. And now heaven is calling you to tear up that old role and embrace the truth of who you really are. That's why the warfare intensified, because you started stepping into scenes that fear can't enter. That's why old relationships are falling away, because their lines are no longer part of your script. That's why confusion is lifting, because revelation is taking center stage. And you're finally seeing that you were never behind. You were being prepared for the scene that only you can perform with authenticity and power. Everything you've walked through was preparing your voice, refining your character, and maturing your discernment. And now that you've passed the test, now that you've endured the silence, now that you've kept walking through the fog, the next act is being revealed, and it will not look like your last. This new chapter is not built on struggle. It's built on sovereign unfolding. Your role now is to walk as if it's already done, speak from the script, not your situation, pray from the place of fulfillment, not frustration, move like someone who knows that the writer is also the finisher. Because the same God who authored your beginning has already scripted your break, through your restoration, your expansion, your legacy, and he is not making it up as he goes. He is simply inviting you to trust the path he's already paved. You may not know all the scenes ahead, you may not understand how certain things will come together, but faith doesn't need to know the full scene. It only needs to follow the cue, and God's cue right now is clear. Step fully into your script. Stop apologizing for your calling. Stop waiting for the world to validate what God already confirmed in secret. Stop shrinking to fit old settings when you are called to command the stage of destiny. Stop rehearsing the past when you're standing in a moment that demands your presence, your belief, your obedience. This is not the time to edit what God wrote. It's time to perform it with boldness. Chosen one, your script was written with victory in mind. You were not created to be defeated. You were not designed for average. You were not sent here to barely survive. You were sent to shake atmospheres, break generational chains, build kingdoms, and reflect divine authority. That's what your script says. That's why you face the battles you have. Because the enemy saw the scroll and tried to stop you from reading it. But he failed. Because even when you couldn't see it, your spirit never forgot it. And now that you're awakening, nothing can stop what's about to unfold. So take a breath, lift your head, walk into the scene. Heaven is watching, the angels are aligning, the audience is shifting, and the writer is whispering, you're ready now. This is your moment. Not because you forced it, but because the scene has finally arrived, and everything you need to perform it is already within you, because it's already written, and all of heaven is waiting for you to walk it out.